Reading SAS datasets. Part 2. Customizing a SAS dataset. Objectives would be to subset variables by using the drop and keep statements. We will explore the compilation and execution phase of the data step, and we will store labels and formats in the descriptive portion of a SAS dataset. Business scenario part 3. All Australian sales representatives will get a bonus regardless of hire date. The new dataset should contain a subset of the variables from the input dataset. The 9 variables in the new dataset came from the original dataset Orient.sales. The business scenario requires that we subset the variables. We can use a drop or keep statement to do this. Drop statement. The drop statement begins with the keyword drop followed by a space-separated list of variables that are to be dropped from the output dataset. It has no effect on the input dataset. Orient sales has 9 variables. We are adding 1 and dropping 4. So that is 9 plus 1 subtracted by 4 gives you 6. Drop is a compile time only statement. Let's go ahead and submit this program and view the report. This proc print step lists all the variables in the new data set. Notice that it only includes the variables that were not listed in the drop statement. Keep statement. The keep statement is used to specify the variable that are to be written to the output data set. It begins with the keyword keep followed by a space-separated list of variables to be written to the new dataset. Keep has no effect on the input dataset. Keep is also a compile time only statement. Let's go ahead and run this program where we are using keep statement. So this is the output. It only kept those variables which were specified in the keep statement. And when we check the log, we see that the output dataset has 6 variables. Business scenario behind the scene. Orient Star programmers need to understand the internal processing that occurs when a data step is submitted. Data step processing. SAS processes the data step in 2 phases, compilation phase and execution phase. Compilation phase. During the compilation phase, SAS checks the syntax of the data step statements. It translates the program into machine language. It creates a program data vector PDV to hold current observation, creates the descriptive portion of the new data set. Compilation phase. The program data vector is created. The program data vector is the area of memory where SAS builds a data set. One observation at a time is processed. Program data vector also copies all the descriptive portion of the input data set. Any variable that are created with an assignment statement in the data step are also added to the program data vector. The variables in the PDV gets flagged in red with the letter D inside, indicating that these variables would be dropped from the output dataset. And then the descriptive portion for the new dataset is created. If the data step compiles successfully, then the execution phase begins. During the execution phase, the data step reads the observations from the input dataset and creates observation in the data portion of the output dataset. By default, the data step executes once for each observation in the input dataset. At the start of the execution phase, SAS initializes the program data vector to missing. Remember, missing character values displays as blank and missing numeric values displays as period or a dot. When the set statement executes, SAS reads the first observation from Orient.sales into the program data vector. Notice that the bonus is still missing because it does not come from the input data set. It is a new variable being created in the data step. Bonus is assigned a value when the assignment statement executes. At the bottom of the data step, 2 things happen automatically: implicit output and implicit return. During implicit output, SAS writes an observation to the new dataset using the contents of the PDV. Then there is an implicit return to the top of the data step for the next iteration. The PDV may be reinitialized at the top of the data step when reading from a SAS dataset. Only the new variables are reinitialized. The variables that come from the input dataset are not reinitialized because they will be overwritten when the next observation is read into the PDV. In this data step, bonus is the only variable that is reinitialized. When the set statement executes on the second iteration of the data step, the second observation is read from the input dataset. Notice it overwrites the previous value in the PDV. Bonus is calculated for this observation. A second observation is written to the output dataset. There is an implicit return to the top of the data step for the next iteration. Processing continues in this way, reading an observation from the input dataset and writing an observation to the output dataset. On each iteration of the data step, the processing stops automatically when SAS reaches the end of the file on the input dataset. Business scenario part 4. Create a dataset that contains all Australian employees whose bonus is at least $3,000. The 9 variables in the new dataset came from the original dataset orient.sales. The business scenario requires that we subset the variables. We can use a drop or keep statement to do this. Selecting observations. Subsetting is based on the new variable bonus that is created with an assignment statement. A where statement is used to subset observations when selected variables exist in the input dataset. Let's go ahead and submit this program and check what happens. A report is being generated, but it displays all the observations and does not apply the condition. To overcome this, we have subsetting if. The subsetting if statement tests a condition to determine whether the data step should continue processing the current observation. In this program, processing will reach the bottom of the data step and outputs an observation only if the condition is true. So we will be replacing where with if. And then we will submit the program again. Let's check the output. Yes, all the people who have the bonus more than 30,000, of the 165 observation in Orient sales, 63 observations were read into the PDB for processing and only 12 were written to the new data set. Let's go ahead and check and confirm the same. There were 63 observations from the dataset orient.sales and 12 observations were present in the output dataset. The subsetting if statement works like a gate, true or false. If the expression is true, it continues processing the observation, and if it is false, it reaches the end of the data step. A subsetting if is valid only in a data step. This slide summarizes when you can use each statement. In proc step, we can use only where. In set statement, we can use either where or if. In assignment statement, we can use only if. Business scenario part 5. Define permanent labels and formats for some of the variables in the new dataset. Label statement. The label statement assigns descriptive labels to the variables. Like we want job title to be appearing as sales title and hire date as date hired. In this label statement, we are assigning the labels sales title and date hired to the variable job underscore title and hire underscore date respectively. Let's run this program. We will select the particular part of the program so that we can view the content of the dataset that is being created. The label attribute is shown in the proc contents output. To view the output, we will be doing proc print. Let's go ahead and submit the proc print step. Proc print will not use labels unless the label option is specified in the proc print. So we are going to resubmit this program and view the result once again with the label. Now the labels are available. Viewing the output, splitting label. Use the proc print split equal to option to split labels across lines based on a split character. Let's go ahead and submit this proc print step and check the output. In output, sales title and date hired are splitted into multiple lines. Proc print will split labels over multiple lines if the split equal to option is used. Format statement. The format statement associates format with the variables. Like we want to associate comma x 8 period format with salary, ddmmyy 10 period format with hire date, and comma x 8 period 2 to the bonus variable. When a format statement is used in a data step, the format information is stored in the descriptive portion of the data set, same as labels. Let's go ahead and submit the program. Do a proc content as well as proc print. Let's browse the proc content. See, the format and the labels both are appearing in the proc content or the descriptive portion. So the label and the formats can be saved along with the data set. The format have been applied to the data values. Notice the placement of the comma and decimal place due to the use of comma x format.